Hello everyone, it's SuziChoclat here from SuziChoclat Crafts. Thank you very much for tuning in again today. In my last video I said that I would be making a 8x8 box. Lots of cards now are a lot bigger than they used to be. Sort of the standard size used to be 5x7, 6x6, but a lot of cards that crafters are making now are 8x8, and so I thought I'd make a box, an 8x8 box, and this is it. I talked about it in the video I made of an 8x8 special card that had a big bloom on the front and lots of layers that had all been built up. It was this card. Yeah, the box I said that I'd make would be with A4 card. Most 8x8 boxes are made with 12-inch square card. Now, not everybody has 12-inch square card, and I definitely don't have any white. I've bought a great big batch of this white A4 size card when I started crafting, and I'm still going through it, and so I don't want to buy any square bigger white card to be able to make a box. And so I've worked out a way that we can make an 8x8 box with some A4 size sheets of card. So for this box you need 5 sheets of A4 size card, which is it's 8 and let me check it again. It's just over 8 1/4 wide, and it is 11 and just under 11 3/4 inches long, and so it gives a nice little gap for your card in the base of the box, which will be 8 1/4 inches. So the base of the box will be 8 1/4 inches square. And so this is what we're going to make. So here is the box. This is the one that I've made to show you. So the sides are stuck on, lovely square right angle corners, beautiful. It's reinforced, it's got reinforced sides, so it's nice and sturdy. And the base, when you take the card out, it's nice and clean inside, because all the seams and joins are all underneath. If you choose to, you can cover that with another sheet of paper. For instance, you could put a piece of card on the bottom which matches the card that's inside your box, or you could have a plain, I've got a plain piece that's cut here, so I'm going to dress the top up with that coloured piece. So you could put this piece on the bottom so that you cover up all those seams if you don't like them. I'm not fussed by them. I think they look very tidy, and the recipient is not really going to be concerned about those. The important thing is that when you take the card out, the box is lovely and clean, and the corners are very square and lovely. And so that's what we're going to be making today. And so let's get started. I'm just going to pop this aside. So my school board in. I have already cut all the pieces that we need, so I'm just going to go through them all with you, so that you've got the exact measurements. So for the lid, so with one of your sheets of A4 card, the maximum width that the box can be is, as I say, just over 8 1/4. I've measured it at 8 5/16, which, as I say, is just over 8 1/4. And so cut yourself a square piece for the lid, and then a piece that is 8 1/4 square for the base. And so these pieces are two of the same size, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do to make. I'm just going to cut off the edges on an adjoining corner. So I'm just going to use my trimmer and I'm going to cut off two edges, these two edges on adjoining corner. I'm just going to cut a tiny little slither off of there. So that's the 1/16 of an inch that it's just a little fraction. Just make sure I get that straight. So you can see it's a very, very tiny little strip. So it's just a smidge that we're going to cut off of two sides with an adjoining corner. Make sure that that's straight. And so cut off the same off of that one. And so now the base should now be 8 1/4. So it's a little bit smaller than the lid. The lid needs to be just a fraction bigger because the sides are reinforced. The box is going to be very sturdy, and so you can't sort of buckle it in like you can if you've only got one thickness of card on the side. And so for the lid it's 8 5/16, which is the maximum width of the A4 paper squared, and then for the base it's 8 1/4 square. So if you want to take a picture of that from your device, or make some notes and jot that down, that's one and that's the other. So I'll just leave them there for a second so that you can see. So that's those two, and then these are the sides that I've cut. I've made a couple of little templates for us to have a look at. So each top and bottom of the box needs to have 4 sides. So these are 9 inches wide and 2 1/2 inches deep. And then you cut 4 for the lid and 4 for the base. And then the ones with the lid we're going to score. So these are the lid. So where's my scoring tool? Just show you what I've been doing. So if you put your piece of card in your scoreboard, we're going to score at 1 inch, then we're going to score at 2 inches, and we're going to turn it round so that the 1/2 inch tab is at the very, very top, and then we're going to score this at 8 3/8. So that's the mark between 1/4 and 1/2. You're going to score down the end there. So I'll just do it on these 3 pieces so you can see. So we're going to go down the 1 inch, down the 2 inch, flip it that way, and then we're going to score 8 3/8 like that. So that's 2 pieces done. Quickly do these 2 as well. And so they are the 4 pieces for the lid. So again, if you want to take a screenshot, or if you want to stop the video and have a little look at the measurements there and jot them down so that you've got them, please do that now. And then the pieces for the base. So they started out exactly the same. They were 9 inches wide and 2 1/2 inches deep. So there's 4 pieces for the base. And there's just one thing that we're going to do slightly different, and that's the end score. So on this piece, you're going to score at the 1 inch and the 2 inch, and we're going to do exactly the same movement as we did for the lid, but this time we're going to score at 8 1/4. I'm going to score that at 8 1/4, and so it's score at 1, score at 2, flip it round so that the narrow bit is at the very top, and then we're going to score at 8 1/4. So we're going to do that for all the 4 pieces, and then we're going to cut the tabs on the ends. And so to do that, just grab my scissors. Got a nice pair of scissors with a nice sharp point, because that does help you to get into your tabs to make sure that you can trim everything off. And so with the base one, we're going to cut off the actual score line. And so if you cut right up the edge, so you're cutting it right off, we're going up to the score line at 2 inches. Then we're going to cut along the score line there. Then we're going to cut this one in the same direction, cut the score line off. And the same with this tab here, we're going to cut the score line off again. And then just take a little wedge off of each of the sides of the tab, and that will just help when we're turning in the corners. We'll make sure that we don't have too much bulk, and then you can when you fold it back on that score line, you can see you've got a dead straight, so you've got a lovely straight line where you've cut off the score line, because the score line folds in. You've cut away the score line so that it is perfectly straight. And so I'll just do that again. And so before you fold it, don't fold your crease your score lines just yet. So we're going to cut off this score line. Right into there. Cut off the score line. Then we're just going to do the little wedge. If you've made boxes before, it's quite common to wedge these little tabs. And then just check that when you fold your tab under on your score line, that it's nice and straight. Well, look, tiny little bit there. So that's lovely and straight. And so then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what those sides are going to look like for the base. And then the ones for the lids, let's just pop them aside. And then we're going to cut the tabs for the lid. So we're going to do exactly the same for this one. We've scored this at 8 3/8, which just gives us that little bit of extra width for the lid. And so we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to cut the score line off. And then do the little wedge like that. Just check when you fold your your tab under, that you've got a nice straight line. So that's that one cut there. I'm just going to quickly cut these ones as well. There we are. So that's the last one done. If when you're cutting this you cut a little bit too much off, it really doesn't matter. It's better to cut a slither more than a slither not enough, because this is the bit that's going to fold inside. This is the reinforcing bit. So this is your corner, and so what you need to have is you need to make sure that they are both level. The bit that turns inside is the same, is exactly the same level as the outside. So it's better to have cut off a little bit too much. I'll show you. If you cut off a little bit too much there, and then at least when you fold it inside, it's going to be a little bit narrow. If you leave the score line on, what happens is when you fold your corners in, you've got a lot of bulk, and it will start to have an argument with the one that's coming from the other way. And the same with this one here. It doesn't matter if that's a tiny little bit shorter, because where's my box gone? Oh, this is another one that I'm making. This is the edge that this is the small edge, and so if you don't cut it dead straight on the line, if it's cut a little bit shorter, it doesn't matter. So, but if you leave the score line on, it's going to protrude over the edge. So it's always best to cut the score line right off. We've got our 4 sides for the lid, and so then we can go ahead and score them all. And so you can score them to get a nice sharp edge. Like that. It's a good idea just to fold it in, because that is your side. And so if you haven't scored an inch and you've scored at an 1 1/8", for example, this bit will be too long, and that's going to fit into the side of your box, inside of the box. And so you just need to make sure that they come out perfectly level like that. So I'll just quickly go through these and score all of these. Get some nice crisp edges. You have and it'll make your box look really professional. That's there for the lid. The difference you can tell if you get them mixed up. Your tabs are longer on the ones for your base. So these tabs, compare them so that you can see. If we lay these together, the one with a longer tab is the tab for the base. So put that aside, and I'm just going to whiz through and just fold these all, and then we can get on to sticking the box together. Right, so where did I put the base? So let's start off with the base. So I'm going to turn that over so that my writing is on the bottom, and just pop that away. And so let's get my base. These are my base. Yeah, I've got that mixed up. That's that one. So that's the way you can tell your short to tab are the ones for your lid. Okay, so very easy to pop these sides on. So I pop mine on so that I have got a nice clean inside the box. So I like to think when you take the card out, it looks nice and pristine, and all these edges are underneath. Now, if you'd rather have a clean outside, where's my box gone? So if you'd rather have your base looking like that with the clean outside, and I'm going to take this out, and you have your joins on the inside, then that's fine. You can do that. You know, it's your choice as to how you have the base and the lid, how you make them. Really, it's whether you stick them like that or whether you stick them like that. So you either have it on top if you want a clean base, or you have it underneath if you want a clean inside. I'm going to have a clean inside, and so I'm going to stick mine on this way. You can use double-sided tape, you can use collal, you can use some PVA glue. Again, your preference, if you want a tape runner, if you want to, that's nice and quick. I like to think that my boxes, whoops, that bit of glue popped out. I would like to think that my boxes are going to be kept with a card, and to make sure that they stay adhered, I do like to use some wet glue, because some of the tapes do dry out after a little while, and if somebody's going to keep it and treasure the card that you've made, then I like to think that my box is going to last equally as long. So if you use tape, if you use double-sided tape, you might want to just pop a little bit of glue on it as well, just to make sure that it's going to stay stuck for eternity. And I like to just run my finger along the glue so that it's not all going to squidge out. And so you just need to line up your edge there on your tab. If you start lining up your edge, and so that your score line is just on the outside, you butt it up to the score line like that, so your score line is there, and your nail will just run alongside it. If you can fold it back, oh, it's a little bit of glue there, that's my tissue. If you can fold it back and it folds really lovely and flat, it's in the perfect position. And so, oh goodness, I've got a bit of glue on there now. And so start gluing again where you've got your tab, butt this edge up, because this is going to be your corner. So your tab will go in, the side will fold over like that, and that will make you a perfect right angle corner. And so you're just going to pop some glue on here. So again, butt it up to the score line. Like that. And then just work our way around doing exactly the same. So next one goes on from exactly the same place. If you've got a little glue bottle like this, it's best to leave it laying down so that the glue doesn't all sink back to the bottom, and then you have to keep waiting for it to come back up. So butt up to the score line. Make sure your edge is nice and straight along here. Fold it over, it's perfect. And then I'll put the last one on. Fold it over, and that's all your, that's your base. Now that's would be is if you had if you'd used a 12 by 12 inch piece of cardstock, that's what your base would now look like with all the bits that you've cut off. And so we're in that sort of same position now. So we're just going to glue the tabs and hold it together and make sure that sticks in place, and then we're going to fold the corners down and stick them in too. So I'll just do one side, and then I'll put it on high speed because you won't need to watch all of them. If you need to, you can go back and watch this one. So I'm just going to hold that in there like that until the glue grabs. If you're using double-sided tape, you might want to put a bit of PVA glue on top of it, or some collal, just to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. And so I'm just going to hold that in place until that's stuck. If you prefer to, you can put a little paper clip or a peg. If you've got a little peg like, you know, a little peg like this, or a paper clip onto the corner. If you would rather just keep on sticking, but it does make it a little bit more difficult when you're so you could do that if you wanted to hold that in place, so you haven't got to hold it, but then it makes it a little bit more difficult for this one, because this inside part you can't lift up. But you know, the glue doesn't take a few seconds to hold, to grab really. And so then that's your box all stuck together, and now we just need to stick the flaps down on the inside to do the reinforcing. I'm going to use a little bit of collal for this, because the good thing about collal is it's a construction glue, and so it really does help to give some substance and stability to your projects. And so just going to turn them back so you can see what I'm going to do. You don't need to do that necessarily. I'm going to put the glue on the inside here, and so I haven't got a messy flap that I need to fiddle about with to turn in. So I'm going to just run some collal glue along there. Don't need to go right down to the bottom, and then when you press your sides in, nothing should squidge out from the bottom. So just run your fingers along that to stick it in place, and then I'll just go around all four sides like this. There, so that's those all stuck into place. So as you're sticking your sides in, if you have a lot of bulk in your corners, just remember what I said about cutting your score lines off. And so see, if you cut the score line off, you get a perfectly square corner like that, and it's not just quite stuck down in there. That's it. So that is the base completed, and then we're going to do exactly the same for the lid. And so I'm just going to turn the lid down. The only thing with the lid is we're going to be sticking on the inside rather than the outside, so that we've got a nice clean lid. I'll put that lid in, that writing inside. So instead of sticking it underneath like we have been doing for the base, we're going to stick this one on the top. So instead of putting the glue in on there, we're going to go underneath to put the glue this time. So start lining up from the tab end again. You probably want to turn this over. It's the way we can give it an extra little bit of room so that the lid is a fraction bigger, is by leaving a little bit more space just along there. So instead of buttoning it tight up, I've left just a tiny little smidge more, so that we'll get an extra little bit all the way around, and we'll need that because the base, the bottom of the box has got a reinforced edge. It just makes it that tiny little bit bigger, and so to make sure that your lid it's not fit too tight, just leave that just a tiny weeny little bit more. And so I'm just going to go all the way around and stick the next one on. So we're going to go, sorry, not two tabs at one end. So we're just going to go again like that and stick again. So we're going to put the glue on the outside rather than on the inside this time. Line up from your tab edge, make sure that's dead straight, leave that little fraction, and it'll be perfect. Turn around and do the next one. You might see that I've got a little bit, just got a little bit too much. I couldn't have cut that quite at 9 inches, so I'm just going to take a slither off all the way up. Here we are. So we've now got a lovely smooth top for your lid, and we just need to do exactly the same as we did do for the base. So we're going to glue the tabs and stick them in, and then fold the insides, the flap, reinforcement flap in, and stick that down. So I'm going to go on fast forward to do that now, because we've already done that once. And so there we are, that's the lid finished. And so this is the base, and so I'll just get my 8x8 card, and where did I put that? Oh, it's still in the box, still in the other box. So here we go. Incidentally, this isn't a card, this is a wall hanging, but I've got this card will be up for raffle very shortly. I'm doing a swimming challenge, and I'm trying to raise some money for a charity that supports people with spinal cord injuries. And so if you're interested, do have a look in the description box below the video and this YouTube tutorial, and I will leave the link there to the swimming challenge, so that you can find out a little bit more about how I shall be doing the raffle for this card. I've also got another 2 cards actually, which I'll quickly just give you a little show of. It's this one here, this one out of the way. So this one is a friendship card, beautiful friendship together, with lots of beautiful flowers on. And then this one is make art, and that's got some metallic leaves and butterflies, keys and little birds there, and leaves, etc. They'll all be raffled to try and raise some money. And so that fits nicely into the base there, and then hopefully this little lid is just, oh, perfect size. Look at that. There we are. So the lid is just that fraction bigger by cutting that slither off at the very beginning, and then doing the tabs, scoring the tabs at a slightly different place. And so do have a look back at the very beginning, and you'll find the templates that I drew out, so that you can look at the measurements. And then, as I said, you can then do what you like with your box. I'm going to dress this box up. I'm now going to, well, that's not my piece of paper. That one's still got the edges on. I've cut this one ready. So I'm just going to stick it on. So it's got a little border, white border all the way around, equal there. And then I'm going to cut in some gold card to match the centre of the flowers on the card. I'm going to cut for a special friend, and then pop that on the front there. And then that's, as I say, this is the one that somebody will be winning in my raffle. So hopefully you've enjoyed making this box today, and it's something that you'll be able to do. Lots of people have the A4 sheets of paper and not 12 by 12, and so it's really something that you'll be able to do to make your cards look really professionally finished, and in a beautiful gift box ready to give to whoever you are making the card for. So we started off with 5 sheets. Here's the other one. 5 sheets of A4 paper doesn't have to be white, it can be any colour or pattern or whatever you choose that you want to make your boxes out of. And so let me know in the comments whether you think that's something that's going to help you in your crafting. It certainly has me. I've made lots of these boxes. As you can see, it hasn't taken that long to make. It looks really smart, beautiful corners, reinforced sides, and makes a beautiful, beautiful box. Anyway, if you like what you've seen today, please don't forget to give me a like and a comment if you would, just a little short comment to let me know what you think. It helps with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to see more of what I'm going to make in the future, please do subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get a notification when I put up my next content. Do have a look back over my other videos. There's lots of things, lots of techniques that I've shared, lots of different cards that I've made. Anyway, from SuziChoclat, bye bye for now. Until next time, thank you very much. Bye bye.